Hello and welcome to everyone. We're glad you're joining us today. I'm Mike Erickson, Associate Vice President for Community Engagement at Internet2, and I'd like to welcome you today to today's webinar entitled Security Starts with Knowing Who is Using Your System, How CUNY and UMass Enhance Identity Governance and Control with Oracle's Identity and Access Management. As we hear from our presenters today, please feel free to post questions in the Q&A section of your Zoom window. We will be recording the session today, and it will be posted on both the Internet2 website as well as our i2 Online YouTube channel. We are pleased to have with us today Sandeep Banerjee from Oracle, who's the Vice President of Product Development in Oracle Cloud and IAM. We have Mark Maness from the City University of New York, who's the Director of Identity and Access Management, as well as Brian Moss from the University of Massachusetts, who's a Principal Application Specialist in the area of Identity and Access Management. Today's presentation and discussion will be on the strategic utilization of Oracle IAM. By leveraging Oracle's solution, we'll hear how CUNY and UMass achieve heightened visibility and exert precise control across their technology landscape, both on-premise and in multi-cloud environments. So again, welcome to everyone. And Sandeep, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Michael, and appreciate the opportunity to present at Internet2. And just as you introduced, Michael, the topic is certainly near and dear to Oracle, as well as our esteemed speakers from University of Massachusetts and the City University of New York. But the timing couldn't have been more important for us as an industry with everything that's going on the topic of multi-cloud, artificial intelligence. Security is front and center in many of those conversations. And as the topic of the webinar today is that it starts with knowing who is using your system. And since you've already introduced me, I don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this slide, but I do have global responsibilities for our Oracle Identity and Access Management portfolio from a product management standpoint within our product development organization, based out of our Redwood Shores location, and been with Oracle for approaching 21 years now. And joining me today are, again, two of our friends and colleagues, I would say, that we work very closely with. Brian Moss, who's the Principal Application Specialist at the University of Massachusetts, and Mark Maness, who's the Director of Identity and Access Management at the City University of New York. You'll hear a little more from them directly about themselves as they proceed with their portion of the presentation. On this topic, I thought it would be well served if I have a few points to be mentioned up front before Brian and Mark go ahead and share with you what both of these institutions are doing as it relates to strengthening their security, and how Oracle has been collaborating with them on that journey. So the business risks of security failures, I'm sure everyone participating on this call, the topic is not new, but in setting the context and setting why this is being looked at from the IAM lens, and why is it being looked at as a priority from a modernization of an IAM standpoint, I thought I'll just share with you some of the numbers as they exist, and they continue to become alarming in that sense for businesses in general. So as it relates to breaches, because just the nature of the world and the businesses that we are in today, we are not ever going to be breach proof. But what it really means is how are you able to address them, either automatically to avoid a breach, as well as how are you able to mitigate them without operational disruption, financial loss, or reputational damage, is something that all businesses and providers such as ourselves are thinking of all of the time. So from a numbers standpoint, we tend to see the increase year over year. The average cost of dealing with a breach, as well as the time that it takes to deal with a breach, continues to be a point of concern and interest for most people dealing with this topic. And the number below, which is about 4.5 million being the average cost of a data breach, is something which is always at the back of the mind of people having to justify, what are the right actions to be taken, what are the right investments to be done on this particular topic. Now, in addition to the risk of a breach, there are the ever-growing number of security compliance requirements that businesses and organizations are having to deal with, and they are at different levels, of course, be it at a regional level, be it at a government level, be it at an industry level, and of course for global organizations, there are things that they have to comply with as it relates to security at a global level. Now, very specifically from a higher education standpoint, we are seeing increasing number of institutions having to work with and having to address the FERPA requirements, which for the purposes of this slide, I've put it in the industry compliance requirements, which is again a driver for institutions to start looking at what more and how better can they be working on and dealing with their identity and access and security solutions. Now, in addition to that, we also see, and this is a trend that I'm assuming several of us on the call today would probably relate to already, that some of the exposures that we have related to breaches, research and studies suggest that a lot of it is also related to the operational hygiene that organizations are able to maintain over time. And patching of systems, be it at the OS layer, on top of it, at the applications layer, there tends to be shortages and shortfalls over there, where we have seen that more and more, and reports suggest that more and more of the breaches take the vulnerabilities in this systems being outdated in terms of patches, which results in the kind of outcomes and the negative outcomes that I was referring to on the first slide. Now, this is certainly an area, again, it's an established phenomena that the industry has been going through, that as you're able to leverage the built-in capabilities of the cloud, where you as the user of the systems have to do less as it relates to staying current, and where patching is one of those dimensions of staying current. But equally important is how much more of the compliance requirements that a business has to, or an organization has to associate and deal with, is being delivered by the infrastructure itself. So increasingly, what the industry is realizing, that by leveraging the cloud, you're not only being able to be current in the different layers of infrastructure and technology that you're using, but also that the cloud provider is having to take on the onus of being compliant with programs and compliant with the regulations that might be there at the regional level, at the government level, at the industry level, and the global level. Now, I've just given you the stats of what it is from an Oracle Cloud standpoint. And again, it's not just limited to Oracle Cloud. If you're using any of the other cloud providers, they would also be delivering that. In our case, the infrastructure itself comes with compliance out of the box, or out of its own infrastructure operations that we have to deal with, of 80 plus such compliance programs across regions and industries running Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Now, importantly, from our standpoint, we do these studies all the time, and then in this case, it was really done by IDC, and the emphasis of the cost and operational benefits of cloud do exist. So the chart on the top is talking about what are the infrastructure cost benefits and the IT staff time cost benefits of running in a cloud infrastructure. But of relevance to this topic over here is the efficiency benefits that the security team realizes. And it's related to the point I was making on the previous slide as well, that by running that infrastructure in the cloud, you stand to benefit, and the security teams stand to benefit in terms of efficiencies of managing and securing their environment. 35% more efficient security teams is the indicator on this particular slide from that standpoint. So having said that, we are seeing the drivers around more secured environments, of course. We are seeing the drivers around compliance that organizations having to deal with, and we are seeing the drivers around the adoption of cloud that organizations again have to be embracing. And in the confluence of all of this, we are seeing that identity and access management tends to be one of those common areas as it relates to security, compliance, and cloud that organizations need to prioritize. Now, at this point, I'll actually ask Jennifer to ask a simple poll question to those attending the call today as to where are you as it relates to your cloud adoption and who are you using at the moment more as your cloud provider. Now, it could be multiple answers over here, and the answer could still be none. Would appreciate you all taking a chance to respond to this question. All right, thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. So, as it stands, well, interestingly enough, there is a good adoption of the cloud in general. While I see it's 0% for Oracle, still it's not to suggest that the momentum is not there or the direction is not along the lines of what we are talking about. And it's not a surprise that no one has stated none to this point over here. All right, so let's move along. What I did want to make sure that we are all on the same page is from a simple definition of identity access, and I've taken this definition from Gartner's glossary just for simplicity. Eventually, it's about the right people or machines having the right access to the right assets at the right time for the right reasons. So there's a bunch of rights involved over here, and it then comes to the point that how organizations are able to tune their processes, people, technology to be ensuring that all of those right things are being done. Now, it tends to be that security, as you would look at from, I've taken the image from the CISA Zero Trust maturity model over here, from the pillars of trust over here that's being mentioned, and the trust maturity model that's being mentioned. Identity tends to be one of those foundational components of security controls that applies to all of these vertical pillars as well as the horizontal ones, because it relates to the use of provisioning, it relates to access controls, and the governance and compliance requirements. So from that standpoint, because you have to do a bunch of right things, and organizations tend to have heterogeneous environments, it would have been much simpler to be looking at this problem statement if everything was homogeneous in terms of everything from one provider, everything being done in a very, I would say, homogeneous data structure, homogeneous access controls. But that's not really the case because organizations may have a combinations of things such as Oracle ERP. In case of the higher education system, we look at a lot of campuses having Oracle Campus as an example, campus solutions. You may end up having HCM controls from Workday. Most companies tend to use Microsoft Entra ID today. And then there are a bunch of other applications such as Zoom, Jira, and things of that kind that organizations have to deal with. And when you look at the topics of provisioning, access controls, compliance, audit requirements, in this heterogeneous environments, they tend to become manual and fragmented over time, which adds to the complexity. Now, if you layer on top of it from a higher education standpoint, as we work with the likes of CUNY and UMass and several other institutions that we are engaged with, we do see that the complexity in higher education tends to be higher, largely because of the definition of identity itself, because you have the personas of a student, faculty, administrators, alumni, and partners who tend to assume each other's personas at different points in time, and the definition of identity as it relates to the systems and access tends to adapt to that. And then there is institutions are age-old institutions, and they've been around for a long time. So there is coexistence of the old and the new, but then they have to comply with the latest regulatory requirements, ton of data sources, duplication of data, and I don't think we need to bury our heads in the sand over here, that there's room for a lot more of automation, especially as we see it in the higher education space. So with that backdrop, I do want to, remind back our team, everyone attending the call over here, that we have been in this space for very long. You're almost our 25th year in the identity and access management space. And as Oracle as an organization, we ourselves use these technologies, but more importantly, for the vast multitude of customers that are out there, we have more than 1 billion identities under management in the Oracle technologies. And importantly, the portfolio is organized to deliver the capabilities that institutions and organizations would have, both in their on-premises requirements, on their journeys to cloud, or in a pure cloud native manner. And it's really the choice that and the space where the customer is. We adapt this portfolio from that standpoint. And as the pillars that you see over here, it's across the board in terms of directory services, access management services, or identity governance and administration. And just from a representation standpoint, I've shown this in the context of what we deliver as software solutions that customers have full access to, and they can deploy it in an infrastructure of their choice, be it on premises, be it in Oracle Cloud, or the other cloud providers that several of you addressed. But if you are looking at getting this as a cloud native built-in identity as a service, as a SaaS service, like of those sorts, Oracle offers it in the context of OCI IAM for access management and a directory service built into it, and access governance, which is our identity governance and administration solution as a cloud native offering. Now, on today's call, as you go through the scenarios that CUNY and UMass would be talking about, you would hear a lot more about what they're doing in the context of governance, which is including both of these product capabilities that you see over here, as well as some of the advancements that they're doing with their access management, including multi-factor authentication that CUNY would be talking about more in specific over here. Now, I'll probably ask, because we are going to be specifically spending time on governance solutions as well as our access solutions, focusing on multi-factor as well as adaptive access, I thought I'll ask you two other questions on the call. Firstly, one question might be a bit adjunct because you responded to your question of cloud earlier. But Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind bringing up the next poll question over here. All right, that's wonderful. So it's a good number of individuals over here who've heard of Oracle Access Governance. And importantly, it is despite not having your investments in Oracle Cloud yet. But it's a good way to look at that. And then for again, the purposes of the call, as you hear about this product, which both CUNY as well as UMass would talk about, very simply stated, this is an identity governance and administration offering which does all of the standard IGA functionality that you would expect of account setup, access controls, access policies setup, reviews and certifications, and then being able to provide your audit and compliance reporting. The important part over here, as the picture suggests, it's actually a system of systems. The advantage of this is its ease of connectivity to the different systems, be it other cloud providers, which you see on the top of this picture, be it your on-premises investments, Oracle or non-Oracle, be it your cloud investments, which you see on the right, again, Oracle or non-Oracle, and importantly, to your identities, which we refer to as machine identities or non-human identities, being dealt with as a first-class identity requirement. Now, this service is available as a cloud-native service. It's available globally across 42 regions and growing, on a daily basis at other regions too. And existing Oracle Cloud customers automatically have entitlements to it because of the infrastructure they're built on. So you would hear a little more of to how likes of CUNY and UMass are using it, but we would love to have a follow up with you if there is a need for the IGA requirements that you hear on the call. I'd ask about the adaptive access question. So Jennifer, I'd ask you to bring up the second poll, if you don't, the third poll rather, if you won't mind. All right, we're not surprised, and in fact, I have some news for organizations on this topic. What we have realized on the authentication journey is companies moving along the authentication path at different levels of moving from passwords to passwords with one-time PIN to things with password and mobile push to passwordless journeys. And to that effect, we, from an Oracle standpoint, we have come up with our uh, what I call as the MFA solutions with the passwordless journey in mind. To start with, for customers who are invested, say, in Oracle Access Manager, they are able to get into what we call as the multi-factor authentication and then being able to advance itself to risk-aware authentication, which is all related to step-up authentication based on behavioral patterns, and then taking it one step further to device-level MFA, where you are able to log into a device, get yourself authenticated, like the Hello World concept, and through multiple factors of authentication over there, and then having an SSO experience across all of those applications that you have access through that device, and then being able to manage this through a central administration self-service portal. It's a fairly simple solution for customers who are leveraging Oracle Access Manager today and being able to expand that for capabilities like that. But then beyond Oracle Access Manager, if you're using other IDPs, the solution is able to support that as well. In fact, I'll use this as the last slide before transitioning off to Brian Moss from UMass to talk about their story. For any Oracle Access Manager customer on the call, but in general, we have sent out this security advisory to anyone who uses Oracle Access Manager. To join this webcast, there's actually one tomorrow, one on the 23rd, and we'll run this as an ongoing webcast series for the next 5 months, where we are advising the customers as to how to turn on the multi-factor capabilities in their environments, especially if they're already invested in products such as Oracle Access Manager. On that note, please let me welcome again Brian Moss. Brian, if you wouldn't mind taking it away on this slide.
Great, thanks, Sandeep. Yeah, I just wanted to to say this is a great experience to be able to come on and tell our story. So my name is Brian Moss. I'm a principal application specialist at University of Massachusetts. Been at UMass for going on 20 years and been through, we've had Oracle Identity and Access Management on premise for a lot of that. I was actually there when we first implemented it at UMass across all of our campuses. The University of Massachusetts definitely is a complex environment. We have multiple campuses. We have 5 campuses and a systems office called the President's Office. So we're always looking to, see how we can take that complexity and deal with it in the best way we can and in the most streamlined way we can and kind of bring it so cohesive solution to all campuses to leverage it in that way. I think it's a great opportunity to tell a story because I always want to hear stories because we all go through it over the years, how we experience different upgrades, vendors, consultants, how did the projects go, how did we decide to go to cloud? So I kind of want to go into our stories to give you an idea so that you can hear it, what happened to us. This slide is the identity access management modernization drivers. One of the big things that helped us get to the start getting to the cloud was UMass had a lot of data centers, and there was a big effort to consolidate those data centers. So there was data centers moving here and there, some closing up. So really, we were looking at that, and then then there was a real, after years of that, there was a real push to say, we want very little data center footprint. And that really kind of springboarded the cloud first strategy. So it was really good to see from the top, from the CIO on down perspective, was to have a cloud first strategy. That gave us the kind of wings we needed to be able to say, yeah, we're not going to go through another on-prem upgrade. We've done this many times. And it's a lot of work. And we said, and we decided to kind of grab onto that opportunity and see if we could do that. And of course, that's what we did. One of the things for our goals is that we wanted a converged architecture for scalability and multi-cloud support. We wanted data integrity with single digital identity for the university system, and automation for rapid applications and user onboarding. A lot of these goals come from our target end state that we worked with campuses on to create our vision of what we wanted for IM. And of course, our technical solutions have to be able to support these goals. And we were happy that Oracle's on-prem was doing this. But as we see, there is a move off-prem. And so we had to kind of embrace that and try to see how we're going to meet these requirements in the future in the cloud. Next slide. So you can see here's our journey. And what's interesting about our journey is that on the left-hand side, you can see indicated authentication and access management. We've already done that journey. We've already taken the leap into the cloud for all of our access management systems. And on the right-hand side, you can see our authorization or identity governance administration is we're now taking a leap to the cloud for that section. Both are large, both are, have lots of systems that ran on-prem to support it, focused team members on different parts, both very, very integrated with lots of different third-party systems, PeopleSofts, our big ERP systems. And one of the things that helped us is that we decided to, years ago, take that leap. And it was when really cloud was like, when are we going to? We know we have cloud first, but how are we really going to do it? Who's going to do it? Who's going to take that first step? How much risk are we taking on? Well, we kind of proofed it out to ourselves that we didn't want to go do an upgrade on-prem, spend years doing it, and then go to the cloud after that and spend years doing that again. So I really felt like we saved years of work for our team, for all the integrated teams that we work with, all the other applications. We saved years of work to just hop right to the cloud. So we did that on the authentication side. For the authorization side, it makes it a little easier now because we can point to the success we had with moving to Oracle's cloud services for access management, which is OCI IAM. And so we could point to that success. So it was a lot easier to get support to say, we don't want to take our IGA stack and upgrade that. And we actually started to do that, but it's a lot of work, a lot of systems, a lot of integrations. And so we really, Sandeep was key in coming and kind of sharing with us what Oracle had to offer. We liked what we saw. And it was, Sandeep brought a lot of resources to bear to kind of help us understand it, quantify it, and we were able to present back to our executive management that that's the direction we want to go. We don't want to spend years upgrading on-prem. We want to go to Oracle's access governance product in the cloud so that we can have the same successful experience that we had with Oracle's OCI IAM products in the cloud. And so we've been working on that. I would say, again, because it's something that we had to, it takes a lot to kind of make that decision. We spent a lot of time doing that with support from the Oracle team. And now we've already been in requirements and design and review for a while, and we're getting near getting to release and test and release some of that functionality. Because it's not really a big bang, as we know, we have to kind of bring on functionality and move it over from on-prem to the cloud. So it's nice to be able to do that in this way. Next slide. So one of the things that I can point to as far as the results to date are, we have 70% faster applications onboarding. I can't tell you how nice it is to go into a GUI, go into the web and be able to just click some buttons and you've onboarded some applications. It really is that nice versus a lot of the on-prem stuff. You got to get in there with you got to log into systems. You got to do configurations. You got to move those configurations to many systems. It's just so nice to be able to go in and have that kind of user interface to do things you used to have to do at a real technical level. We were able to decommission 40 plus on-prem systems already, which was huge for our data center. And of course, our infrastructure teams having to support those to get those off the list out of the data center. It was a huge win for us. Costs, definitely, we're feeling that from what we had to do for maintenance, patching upgrades with on-prem, this is just so much better when it comes to costs. And performance, definitely something that's I feel like you set it up and it just works. They have the power, and Oracle has that power in their SaaS service that we don't have to worry. We used to worry and run performance tests all the time. I mean, that was a huge part of our workload every so often to get ready for students. Now it's something we don't have to think about. Next slide. One of the big reasons that I feel that we have been successful, that we are successful, and we're going to be successful, and to have the confidence to be able to say that is because of the partnership we've had with Oracle. When we had on-prem, a lot of it was kind of on us, right? I mean, a lot of it was we were doing things, we were in there, but I feel like with the SaaS products, there's just a new level of partnership, of course, because that's where the stuff is, right? We're kind of going into the user interface. They have the heavy lifting on their side. So UMass runs its core business on Oracle. We've always been an Oracle shop from databases on up, and we've been happy with that. OCI adoption is growing rapidly as part of UMass's multi-cloud strategy. It's great to be able to also not only have SaaS products like Oracle Access Governance, but also to have OCI, which is just cloud infrastructure to use for other things that we need as far as our cloud adoption. So we get the best of both worlds. And Oracle's IAM solution aligns with UMass's IAM strategy and journey to the cloud. And of course, I mentioned the target end state. Target end state is a long document that we spent months and months with campuses creating. And really, we needed to test and put that up against, could Oracle Access Governance help us do this? Is it going to make it better for us? Is it going to be that forward thinking to help us into the future? Is this where we need to go and be for the next decade? And yes, with flying colors, Oracle Access Governance definitely checked the boxes for us, and we moved forward with it. And then lastly, the Oracle's Lighthouse program for UMass's IAM journey to cloud is unparalleled. I don't say this often because a lot of times with support, it can be a hassle. Support can be a hassle, and you don't get all the support you need. Complete opposite experience with Oracle's Lighthouse program. I can't talk enough about this. I can't believe the partnership and what Oracle has put forward to make sure that we're successful. It feels like it's not just us that's worrying about being successful. It's nice to have Oracle and all the best resources to bear to make sure that we're going to be successful. So it definitely can sleep at night knowing it's not just on our shoulders. It's a team. I feel like Oracle has brought us in as part of that team, as part of this Lighthouse program, and I can't recommend it enough. If I were you, I would be emailing Sandeep saying, "How do I get on this Lighthouse program?" Because it was something that was transformative for us in just being able to have that confidence, be able to know that we could do it. And that's thanks to Sandeep and his team and his extended teams, technical, executive teams that he brought in to make sure that we'd be successful. So I wanted to say a thank you to Sandeep and Oracle, and I'm looking forward to what's ahead for us. Thanks.
Brian, much appreciated. And needless to say, these collaborations and partnerships don't work in isolation. And we greatly value the long-standing relationship that we have had with UMass, and really appreciate the kind words and the experiences and sharing the stories that you just did. On that wonderful note, let me take the opportunity to invite yet another friend and professional from the industry, Mark Manis. Mark, I'd ask you to take it away from here.
1 second. Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Manis. As it says, I'm the Director of Identity and Access Management at CUNY. I've been in this role for about six years. I've been at CUNY for approximately 17 years. We're a huge Oracle shop, everything from database to PeopleSoft. We run all the PeopleSoft pillars on-prem and all the Oracle identity management products currently on-prem. We are made up of, okay, here we go, CUNY by the numbers. So CUNY is an incredibly complex environment. We have 25 colleges. As you see, we manage 2.5 million identities, 500,000 total students, 50,000 active faculty, and we are now up to 300 applications that are integrated into OAM. And this is up from 130 last year, and we are expanding rapidly. Okay, next slide, please. So one of our main focuses now is moving the entire university to a single identity. So as I said, we have 25 colleges. So currently, the colleges all have their own local Active Directories. They might have, they might integrate some applications into an Azure tenant. Then on the other side, we have all the enterprise applications that that use a login.cuny.edu ID. So we have been tasked with reining all that in. Campuses are going to be moving off their local on-prem directories, mostly onto a central directory, and we are rapidly integrating even local campus apps into our enterprise solution. So eventually, and hopefully not in the not too distant future, all applications, whether you're sitting at your desktop or you're logging into any of the hundreds and hundreds of applications, you'll have a single identity and, in fact, single sign-on. Next slide, please. So here are our priorities for this year. Continue the rollout of Oracle's MFA solution. Continue the onboarding, and we expect hundreds more applications to be integrated into OAM. Roll out Oracle's new product called the Oracle Universal Authenticator. And what that will allow us to do, that will allow people sitting at their desktop to log in with their enterprise identity. And from there, they will be single sign-on, single sign into all their applications, whether it's the Microsoft Outlook Fact Client or Teams or web applications. So this will allow for a seamless integration. People will no longer have to remember multiple IDs. We will cut down on the frustration of having to sign in multiple times. So we expect this to increase our security and greatly increase user satisfaction, especially students. And finally, as Brian mentioned, also, we are looking. Actually, we purchased Oracle Access Governance, and for us, the keys there is to be able to quickly develop new workflows so we could turn over authorization, allowing campuses to add members that don't fit easily into any automation. So they would be able to manage their own users. So currently we are running, so we have a huge IAM infrastructure, Oracle IAM, OAM, OARM, and OIG, and MFA. The whole MFA is running on-prem. The MFA portion is running in containers. And as I've said, we've also purchased AG. So we currently run OIG on-prem. We are looking to integrate AG into our existing infrastructure, and down the road, eventually migrate off OIG into AG. Okay. And finally, so what's so great about partnering with Oracle? So first off, the Oracle solutions align with where we want to go. And where we want to go, which I think most of the world is, eventually move things to the cloud. Oracle IAM senior management is, and I've said this, is obsessed with making customers successful. They care, they listen, and they adopt what we have asked. And again, customer-driven product innovations. We have made many recommendations that have been put into the products in a timely fashion. And finally, and again, as Brian said, so Oracle has two programs, Puma and Lighthouse. Puma is for things like upgrades, and Lighthouse is for new products. I believe bringing you on to a newer product. These are indispensable programs. Because of our interaction with Oracle on these within these programs, we were able to seamlessly, quickly upgrade our IAM environments from version 11 to version 12 with basically no hiccups. The programs are amazing. As I've said, we are an incredibly complex environment. It is awesome to be able to have Oracle senior engineers, support staff, know our environment. They understand who we are, what we do, and what our environment looks like. So, thank you.
Mark, can't thank you enough for the summary over here. And once again, just like I mentioned to Brian, that all this is a bi-directional relationship. We greatly value the commitment and the confidence that the City University of New York has bestowed upon us, and we are not going to take that for granted, because I think every day we strive to make sure that the product delivers what it is meant to, and the experience around the ownership of the product is great. And like both of you said, that Puma and Lighthouse are investments from Oracle to make sure that customers like yourself are successful with adopting the products and being able to get the results out of it. So thank you again, Mark, for sharing your experience. So let me start summarizing our conversations today, and we'll open it up for question and answers after this. So what you heard so far, and what I started off the discussion with is security assurance and compliance requirements are evolving for businesses. They're evolving fast. Now, it is important from that standpoint that it is important to know that who's in your system so that you are able to secure this appropriately. And identity tends to be the foundation for most of these controls. Hence, you saw the experiences shared by UMass as well as by CUNY, that they did look on the IAM modernization as a priority for the business. Now, when it comes to IAM modernization, there are certainly operational and cost benefits that every organization wants to look at. And increasingly so, and that was the case with UMass and CUNY as well, that they looked at and their evaluation suggested that the cloud first approach would be the right approach to take over here for their IAM modernization projects. Now, you also saw from both of the stories that it is not a one and done thing in terms of suggesting that yes, we would want to take a cloud first approach, and to get to cloud first approach, it is not that it's a big bang theory over here of turning off everything and overnight and over the period of the project you are there with cloud everywhere. That's not the reality of the world that we live in. And so there is this need for multiple approaches when it comes to IAM organization with cloud, taking on SaaS capabilities, leveraging containerization where it makes sense, being able to coexist with your SaaS solutions, containerized solutions with your other solutions that you already have in place or you propose to have. And importantly, with the advent of multi-cloud, which is again a reality, where every organization would have multiple cloud providers for themselves, there are different approaches to be looking at all that together. And from an Oracle standpoint, keeping all of these realities in mind, and painstakingly, as well as with some of the glorious learnings that we have had over the past 20 years, with as many identities under our management, we are here to provide our commitment to the different approaches that customers want to take on this topic of IAM modernization, be it in a cloud native way, be it continuing with their investments of how they managed it in the past with software licenses that they have direct access to, running it in an infrastructure of their choice, and all combinations in between. Our objective is to support that journey with a flexible portfolio that we have for it. Now, you heard CUNY, you heard UMass talk about it. You will be able to hear and read about this in the public domain as well, with the analyst coverage that we have on this topic from Oracle IAM. Happy to report that on the Gartner side of things that many of the industry users end up referring to, both for our IGA solution, that's governance solution, as well as for our access management solution. We have been taking the top spot for what they call as the Gartner Peer Insights Customer Choice Awards, where customers such as CUNY, UMass, and some of you on the call would be giving feedback back to Gartner directly on the usability of the product, the experience of the product, and the value of the product. And so is the case with the other analysts that you could actually read about from them. And then for learning more about the Oracle offerings that we talked about today, and there are more out there, I'm providing you some of the QR links over here. There's information on oracle.com. There are courses that existing customers and partners obviously have access to these courses through Oracle University, but you can also go through certifications. So there are several of those certification courses for security in the cloud, including OCI IAM that Brian Moss from UMass talked about a bit, for access governance for both what Brian and Mark talked about. And these courses are available for certification as well, as I just mentioned. So on that note, we would certainly want to say a big thank you on behalf of Brian, Mark, and myself. Appreciate the time that you invested in hearing us out today. And I'll open it up for a question. Michael, I'll pass it back to you at this point.
Thanks, Sandeep. If there are any questions from any of our attendees, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A window, and we're happy to have Mark or Brian or Sandeep respond to those. I'm wondering, perhaps a question for Brian. I'm wondering, you talked about your commitment and the commitment of the organization, the institution, to the cloud migration and essentially going all in there and doing it in one step. I'm wondering about how that's going from your institutional leadership, your IT leadership. Is there still that commitment? And what's the response that they've seen from that, or how have you been able to share with them the successes?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think at first it was trying to bring executive management into the fold and understanding why it would be valuable to make the jump, take on some of that of the risk, because it's the unknown. You get the benefit, if you take some of that risk to go out to the cloud. I think now it's become I think we've given them updates as far as the partnership we have with Oracle. And so it's usually a long project. So I think anybody in the identity management space, knowing how middleware, they know it's a long project, and therefore they know, some executive management might be looking for something, a month in. Where is it? It's going to take a while. So I think our constantly being able to give progress updates in showing them that Oracle is dedicated to partner with us it really makes it, they hear the update, they're confident, and I think they're off concentrating on other problems. I think they feel comfortable still at this point.
Good. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Sandeep, I'm wondering, perhaps we can't open any sort of digital newsletter or blog or in the headlines today, and we see security, and large part of that obviously is IAM, which is why we're here. But also the other thing that we see in every headline is around artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning. And perhaps if you can share how Oracle is looking to leverage AI or machine learning within this space in its solutions.
You're right about that, Mike. And it's almost like AI and ML is the last name of every individual today. And so, in that regard, Oracle is significantly invested in that area, as you would expect, because data is at the center of everything. And Oracle, by its own lineage, has its history embedded in data. And then when you compound it with, or when you combine it with computing power, which Oracle is also significantly invested in by being a hyperscaler itself and being able to provide that kind of computing power with our GPUs, etc. The use of AI and ML is now factored into the design of pretty much every product that Oracle delivers today. Now, in the context of identity and access management, the product that we talked about a bit, and both Brian and Mark alluded to, which is Oracle Access Governance, from the get-go, when we released this product in June of 2022, it had the AI ML capabilities built into it. Classic case in point being reviews and certifications, which many customers have to do for access. Many a times it's a rubber stamping activity, that we get an email as a manager saying that, are you okay with your employee ABC having access to these systems? And the basis for me as a manager to make a determination out of it is very limited in the way that the industry had been working on for the longest time. Now reimagine that of a system being able to now tell the manager that here is the individual, and the individual is in your organization, and his or her responsibilities compare with the others in your organization in this way. Hence, the access requirements are different. Or that individual is not even in your organization, but at a peer level organization, this is what the person's access requirements might be. And then the system is not only giving you that insight, but also making a prescriptive recommendation in saying that because of the various combination of things that we have looked into, it is safe for you to approve of this request. And now it's taken to that extent of giving you the recommendation, but there is even further automation that can happen where that person may not even appear in your list of reviews to be done, because the system has automatically determined it and has taken it off the list for your review. So these advancements of how you could leverage AI and machine learning to make the day-to-day work simpler is very much front and center in the design of most of our products. I gave a very simple example that's already in the product today. And there's a long list of these things that are getting baked into as part of our roadmap.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. I see no other questions. I see no questions from our attendees. I'll wait a few more seconds just to see if there's anybody who wants to jump in. All right. Well, Brian, Mark, Sandeep, thank you all for sharing this information with us today.